All right, we're getting into it now. So we have got a player running, we've got collision going, and the next thing is to now take our single enemy, but I've been racking up a great score in the background, and then make it multiple enemies. So we need to do a little bit of changing. So I'm going to take all this stuff here, and I'm going to cut it and move it down further, where I was going to start doing my... Well, chuck it down here. Chuck it down here out of the way. Right, so this is where I'm going to make my single enemy be a multiple one. Then I'll shift everything back up, but it's just easier to kind of see what I'm working with. So we got var enemies equals empty array. An array is just something that holds more than one piece of information. So think of it as a kind of variable that can hold different variables or different numbers, plural. Right, okay. So we're going to make a function called make enemy. Not that we normally want to make enemies, but in this case we do. So I'm going to take this and put it in here. So now it's become a private variable. It's known inside here, but the other stuff up here that's calling player size for like the collision will no longer work. Then the enemy xpos, I don't want it to just be just anywhere. So I want the enemy xpos to basically equal math dot floor math dot random times by basically canvas dot width minus enemy size. So it'll appear anywhere in there. There we go. The next one, enemy ypos, was actually that minus enemy size, because I want it to appear outside the top of the canvas and then come down into. Enemy x and y speed, right? So those go there. Actually, I don't need that now. Right, so these can be random between a range. I had it up here further before. There we go. So enemy, so I might set my y speeds back up to 12 to 4 now. But I could leave that as that because I don't want it moving across too much. Is there anything I need to track? No, there is not. I might be one of these people that want, if this black kind of coding space is my canvas, and I might say I want enemies to appear at 1, 2, 3 zones randomly. That would be the other thing. So what I would do then is go var enemy pos equals I'll just take this. And I basically want to be a number from 0 to 3. Sorry, 1 to 3. So I put the +1 on the end. Because when I'm doing this xpos, right, we've got this one here that does the whole range. If I duplicate this, and I'll just comment the original one out. Then what we're going to do with this one is say, I want you to go to enemy pos times by 100 pixels. Okay, well, I don't know. Canvas dot width divided by 3, because there's 3 locations I want it to go on. We'll see how it appears on the screen, but this means that that'll kind of be appearing in one of those 3 random spots, but it will be totally random, so it might be 1, 2, 1, 1, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 3. You get the idea. Obviously 0 would then this will read this way, and I probably want to get this number first, so I better bracket that. Good old bedmass. Right, so the next thing is, right, I've got all this information. This is basically the so what we need to do is then take this total information, push it into the array as one chunk of information, and then I can refer to the bits, these pieces of information out of the chunk in the array, and then I could have multiple groups of information. So I could have 6 enemies, and within the enemies I have all the bits of information I need. So we're going to make what something's called an object. So I'm going to go var enemy equals object, and then you basically put in what each bit's going to be. So if I'm going to say enemy xpos is the variable xpos that's generated up there. Ypos. Now there's no set order to what you do this in, but I tend to do it in the same order as my as I put in my color rect information, just because it's just how I'm used to working. Now I could do enemy color equals, right, if I wanted to store it, if I really wanted to, but there's no need for me to store it because I could just write it in brackets red. Okay, so then we go enemy x speed, comma, obviously comma between each one, and then no comma on the end of the last one because it's the last one. Right, now we take the array name enemies dot push. This is an array based function that basically pushes information into an array. And I think it pushes it into the end. You can look it up. It's not particularly important in this case. Then what would we want to push in? Well, we want to push in all this thing. So there you go. It's in. So this function here, I want it to be called only at the start of the game, render in all my enemies, and then stop. So I'll quickly show you a little quick toggle way to do that. So if I go up the top here, I basically want to do something like this. Enemy, oh no, it was make enemies, wasn't it? Make enemies, right, I want to call it. But this is calling at 60 times per second, so I'm going to have way too many enemies to deal with. So my issue is, I need to turn it on and off when I want. So var starting pos equals true if starting pos is equal to true, then run this function, and then I'm going to say starting pos now equals false. Right, so that'll run once. I can in here now write a for loop if I want. I is equal to 0, making like a private variable inside here. If I is less than Now I should, in theory, a variable called total enemies equals, I don't know, 8. Right? Less than total enemies, comma, I plus plus, continue the loop. So it'll just loop through and keep making enemies. Once it's looped through the 8 times, it'll run false. This will no longer apply and it won't run that anymore. So that is good. That's what we want. Great. So now that we've got that, these functions still can't run because enemy ypos no longer exists because it's in here and it's in this thing here, which is now inside this array. Which now I can take this array and I'll cut it and put it back up with all the other stuff. Right. So what I need to do now is draw our enemies. So actually, this is when we're drawing it here. Right. So I'm going to cut that because we can't just draw the one anymore. So I'll make a function for that there. So we've got make enemies. So underneath that, I'm going to make a function called. Give some space so I can scroll. Right, there we go. Function draw enemies. I'll probably draw enemy. Okay. So I want to be able to go through this array and draw each of the 8 enemies. So the way we do this is we go take the enemies array dot for each. So this will do like a for loop like I did before. And then we make a function inside there. Right. We can pass 3 things into this function. The actual piece of information, like so the actual enemy information itself, so enemy, and then the actual what number it is in the array, so whether it's enemies 0 through to 7, because there's 8 and we count arrays starting from 0, or I'm trying to think what the last one is. Not really that important. I never really even use that one, to be fair. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to paste in our color rect that we had before. Oh, that bit. So I basically wanted to say enemy xpos, but I need to get it out of this array. So what I do is I go enemy dot enemy xpos, enemy dot enemy ypos, enemy dot. So you can see here, like if I was to say backspace this one off, and I'm typing in, see how it's prompting in green because it's to do with it's grabbing it from here rather than being these purple colors. Dot, and then it's instantly prompting me this stuff here, even though I haven't typed anything. Why? Because it knows inside this object there's only these options here anyway. Okay, so now it's going to draw every enemy. Now effectively we want our enemies to also be able to move. So let's get this in the main loop. Main loop, main loop. There we go. I do that after that one because that's when I import them. I can probably afford to do this. Not that it's going to affect anything in the grand scheme. Right, we've already got one called enemy move. So if I go enemies dot for each open close brackets, oops, function open close brackets, open close curly brackets, enter. Then I come back and write enemy in there. We want to take this and basically put everything inside it. Right, so now it needs to be enemy dot, which I'll just copy paste that to be fair, enemy speed enemy this, oops, that's canvas.height, enemy micros, enemy size, enemy xpos, enemy size, enemy y speed, enemy this, enemy that, enemy this. So as you can obviously see going through the gist here, I'm taking the same logic from what we've already worked out before and just applying the format that's needed for the arrays. Enemy dot size. Okay, so that now I save that. Let's have a look. I've got enemy move, enemy draw, player move. I'll put these together because they're friends. Right, so in theory it should all work now. So some of them started going fast. The enemy xpos is now kind of randomizing a wee bit. So if we look in here, this one here is out bottom canvas. So we've set it in here now. Set the enemy y pos to the top, that's fine. Enemy x pos is now floor randoming, which won't work anymore. Well, it's working, but it's not the same as this setup. So I need to take this variable because it's private inside there. I need to then say, actually, you can go there. Right, that there. I need to work out the position. Sorry. Where is it there? The xpos. Copy that. Too high, alright, my bad. Yeah, canvas. Yes, I don't need to worry about any of this now. Our speed is no longer what it was because we changed that back, so I'll change that back again. And so if we refresh this now, well, we're obviously doing 1, 2, 3s off the thing, I think. So one, 2, 3. Yeah, it's fitting in there. Right, okay, so I'll have to adjust that last one there to 3 to 4. There you go. There you go. And so you can see, I put myself in the middle and all good, but if I was having to cross and I hit something, I made it across great, but there you go, I get hit. A little bit crossy road, and then I can teleport around again and I can do this. But you can see it's still working successfully. It's got the collision detection for all the arrays, and I'm getting my score clocking up, which in this case is probably more like deaths, but yeah, it's all working there. So we have our make enemy function. This is the big one here, which is basically we generate some variables that are going to put in the information that we need for the enemy x, y, pos, speed, etc. Bundle it together in an object. Then we have an array that we push one complete bundle into. Then we need something to basically loop through and make as many enemies as we want for the total. And then coming back down here now, we need to draw them. So we just take the enemies array, loop through all the things in the array, and then look through here. So if I go in here and go enemies. So you can just type the variable in here. If I look in here, you can see 0 through to 7. So there's 8, length of 8. See? Oh. So enemy xpos, it's doing that. So ypos, it's currently because it was whenever it was in the screen. Size is the same. Speeds obviously varied a wee bit. Speeds varied more because it's a greater range. And so that's each row is holding that. And so this enemy y speed, as it goes through here, it basically goes through one at a time. It goes, draw one there, next in the list, draw it there. It's moved because of the enemy move, and so it just redraws it, just so it constantly just goes through each piece of information, just going draw, 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 back to the top, draw, 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 but it does it so fast, it basically looks like constant movement for all of them, which is what we get. Righto, and then yeah, this enemy move, which looks really complicated now, was effectively the same thing we had before, because this is a collision from another video. But all I did was just apply this for each over the top to include this. So yeah, there you go. It's all in there.